Good morning. Welcome to the. I wanted to use one word.
The penultimate show.
That was working to mine. Thank you. You're smart. Welcome to the penultimate show of the week. Counting down to the end of the month, where many people will say, "I don't get alerts, God win." This January is not as long as many of us thought it would be, but we're grateful
Speak
to
for
be.
yourself.
We're grateful to be almost at the end of the month. You're welcome to Breakfast Central. We want to hear what you think about a number of the conversations that we'll be looking at this morning. All you need to do is to go on YouTube. We're streaming live via News Central TV on YouTube, to drop your comments, and I'll be here to take them. We can see the comments live. You're welcome once again to the show. I am Olive MOD.
And I'm Ben Gabura. Welcome to Breakfast Central this Thursday morning in the city of Lagos. We have a lot in store for you today. So many things happening across the country, and trust us, we always bring you those stories with insightful and deep analysis. Do stay with us. This is Breakfast Central.
Well, I was waiting for either of you to not just welcome the people, but of course talk about what has been happening, especially in Lagos. There's hunger in the land. Period. That's what I was thinking. There's hunger in the land. Dirty December is over. Dry January is here.
We're back to reality.
We're back to reality.
Back to life.
Back to reality.
Then I also wanted to
You don't
ask
introduce
a question
yourself.
Oh yes. No, they know me already.
This is pride.
They know me already.
What if these viewers just tuning in for the first time?
Hi viewer,
Director, please
how are
remove
you?
Johansson's
How
name
are
from the
you?
website.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for
Are you
joining us.
Cristiano Ronaldo or Sadio Mane?
I'm a mixture of both.
Okay.
I'm a mixture of Cristiano Ronaldo. Coincidentally, they play in the same football club, and coincidentally, CR7 is my best football player. With a touch of Sadio Mane's character. I think he's the most he should be the most respected African footballer in years to come.
Sadio Mane?
Hardly gets angry.
Yeah.
He has great spirit of sportsmanship.
Humble.
I particularly like what he did at the
pitch.
AFCON when they had staged the walkout. He was like the peacemaker, the unifying factor that was
Yeah, it
encouraging
was like
his
everybody
teammates to
come out,
back.
don't worry, come out, come
Yeah,
out.
and then
come
he's
out.
done so much. He's giving back so much to the community
So much.
where he came from.
Very
humble-
level-headed.
There are two
humble
players.
beginnings.
There are two players that are like that. Sadio Mane and N'Golo Kante.
Yeah,
N'Golo
so
Kante is
you can't be
world's
angry
most
at them.
humble. He doesn't like the press. He doesn't want you to hail him or greet him. When his mates or
He's so
players
shy.
are there, he's always bending his head.
He's very meek.
He cleans
Clean.
the stadium after training. He doesn't leave. He doesn't walk down the tunnel when they're done.
He drives
You tell
a
him,
Mini- he
come,
drives a
the,
Mini
the
Cooper.
boys will clean it. He says no. He goes around, picks their beeps. Come on. Anyway, good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central. It's been a long conversation, and I think we're going to kickstart with this one.
Are we going to talk about IShowSpeed first? Or are we going to talk about him now?
IShowSpeed
Yeah, we should talk about IShowSpeed.
was in Nigeria.
Yes.
He was in Lagos.
After
He's in Lagos.
Okay, he's in Lagos.
After leaving the
Ethiopia.
Nations Cup. Yes, he
Did he attend?
was. He was at the. It was at.
He was in
Really?
Morocco at some point in
Morocco,
time.
yeah.
Oh, I
And then
didn't
he
know
went to
that one.
Ethiopia.
He went to, and then of course
Yeah.
then came
And he's
to
been to
Nigeria.
Zambia.
He watched a couple of matches. The Algerian fans didn't like him. They even called him a
Yeah.
monkey as well. He was at the stands when the finals. He was there. He was there at the finals when Ibrahim missed the penalty and so on. So he was there. But then again, he's in Nigeria. I don't know what's up. You guys
Now, in case
caught
you're
up with
wondering what's happening, IShowSpeed.
Oh, who IShowSpeed
is. He is a YouTuber. He's a streamer who's visited Nigeria. He's been touring the continent of Africa and showcasing some of our landmarks. He was in Egypt, streaming live for the first time ever from inside the pyramids. He's been to different parts of the world, of the continent. Let's start with the continent because he's touring the continent. He's a person known for speed, right? He does very, very insane, what many people will call, this is the same as, the Victoria Falls, what they call, I think this is the Devil's Pool.
Yes.
So he basically explores different parts of the continent and he's streaming live and showing you. And many people argue that he has done more for the continent than a number of countries have in terms of showcasing the continent to the world. Because usually, and unfortunately, there's a negative perception that some people try to push about the continent. But there's so much beauty in Africa, so much beauty on the continent. He went to Ethiopia and was intrigued to find out that Ethiopia is still in 2018 while the rest of us are in 2026 because he did not use the same calendar that we use. So it's bringing so much information, knowledge, and culture about the continent to the world. And yesterday he landed in Lagos. He, of course, went to the INEC Art Gallery, which is where every person who visits Nigeria typically goes because it's one of, I think it's the biggest art gallery in West Africa. And he was there. I mean, you see him. Okay, this was where he raced a cheetah. And yes, this was a video of him racing a cheetah. I'm not sure which country this was, but...
Who won? He beat the cheetah.
He beat the cheetah.
Yeah, I think he did beat the cheetah.
He did.
But somebody said, no. They said the cheetah was even jogging. Somebody was like, this one that the cheetah is jogging. He's comparing
Maybe
himself.
The cheetah
but he's known for his speed.
It's not a well-fed cheetah.
It's why his name is IShowSpeed. He's known for his speed. And yesterday in Nigeria, he met the angriest man in Nigeria.
I met a few celebrities.
Yeah, then he met a young lady who challenged him to a run. And that was really a joke.
It was cringe.
It was, but
That's what people interviewed him.
The one thing I'm learning is that in this generation, if you want to stand out, you must be willing to do crazy things. So I believe that she was doing that to showcase herself. And somebody, I mean, the real Femi shared clips of it on his story, and he was saying how the girl could launch her career from that. Sometimes there are moments, you get a moment of virality, and it becomes a way to project your brand as a social media influencer. That, I don't know if that happened for her because the race was not really giving what it was meant to give. But the angriest man asked for $10,000. He told IShowSpeed that if you want to make me happy, you give me $10,000. IShowSpeed was like, huh? And then he brought out some money to give him, like 50 naira notes, but a bundle of 15 naira notes. And the guy said, no, this will not be enough for me to buy fuel. And I cringed at that moment. The entitlement of it all. Where do you know this man from? That you should dole out $10,000 and give it. That's over 10 million naira. Is
that not the same spirit of that man, that anything for the boys?
And then when he was driving through Lagos Island, all this area boys were screaming, oh, show us love, show us love. He's never heard it before. So it was like, what do you mean by show us love? He said, show us money, money. I mean, we can laugh at these things, and I mean, it's been to different African countries. I don't know if they begged him for money behind the camera, but we need to have a come to Jesus moment and reflect on our values, and especially begging.
What did you see? Come to Jesus?
Yes. You know, we need to reflect on our value systems and the art of begging. I'm not saying people don't beg or we don't ask for favors.
Beggars
no
have
man is an island.
handles now.
Yes, so but the fact that there's no shame attached to it, we've rubbished our personal dignity in the mud at the slightest opportunity, even if you're gainfully employed. Sometimes people greet you, you become suspicious of the greeting, or you start feeling guilty.
Or when people are too nice to you.
Too nice.
So there's some things
you go
that
to
are
the airport bathroom.
Your shirt is nice.
And,
to share that.
you know, they give you tissue, you expect something. And it's terrible. And it's not about, I don't think it's about the economy or the social class.
No,
it's a culture.
It's a culture.
I have a friend that works with one of the international development agencies. She's American, and she told me that she's done work in the war zones and the most terrible places where people have lost everything they ever worked for. She was in Darfur in Sudan, and she said those South Sudanese people, that they have dignity of the highest level.
I know
that
they've
lost everything,
but
they will still offer you coffee, tell you to come to their tent. I remember when I was in university, my barber was from Chennai in South India. He was a migrant worker in Malaysia, and you know, he wasn't the wealthiest, and for every time I come to cut my hair, he's never said, oh, it has one problem, can I keep your change, find me something? No, he's professional. So we need to really revisit our value systems and also carry ourselves with a lot more dignity.
Yes.
Well, I also had a conversation on radio, and I remember when we used to work on radio, and I opened up the phone lines to talk about how immigration officials, people at the airport should stop begging. And I had callers saying we are just using it to encourage them. Encourage what? You can compromise national security by collecting a bribe or by taking money. It doesn't look well. It's not a good look at all. So
I agree.
We need to look at that culture of begging.
So just to mention that, I mean, we want to hear your thoughts. Please go on YouTube, drop your comment. Good morning, Mokunye Chukwemeka. We've seen your comments. Feel free to drop your comments in the chat box and we will take them. But I think the summary of it is welcome to Darren Watkins Jr., who's a YouTube star that is touring, and he hit 50 million subscribers yesterday. That's a huge number. So imagine projecting the country, projecting, you know, the good things about a continent to 50 million subscribers. People are watching. You know, so we
should
need
have
to
arrived in Abuja first.
No. It's okay that it's okay that he arrived in Lagos. And to be honest, the bad part, it's okay for the bad parts to show. Because
it's okay.
part of what he will do is maybe to give us shame, to clean up our acts in certain areas. But other than that, we have so much beauty and culture. I love that he's visited the INEC gallery. You know, he's worn our traditional outfits. I saw them teaching him. Mommy Nike was teaching him how to say Ekabo. Jarvis and Pella.
No, he met Jarvis.
Jarvis, but he didn't meet Pella.
Pella tried to meet him.
Pella tried to meet him.
And
he was even on a horse.
He ran in with the horse.
And trying to climb his car. His bouncers had to like remove him.
Pella was saying, I know I'm big. I know I'm big, but I want us to collaborate. I was like, what is that?
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the matters that matter.
But before we move on, I just wanted to correct Olive. When she was referring to Victoria Falls, she referred to Victoria Falls as Victoria Falls. It's Mosi Otuya, the cloud that thunders. We need to refer to it in its native name, the way the people that met it thousands and used it for centuries.
And what do they call it?
Victoria was in England. They said that it's called Victoria Falls. What's Victoria Falls?
So what's the
It's Mosi Otuya.
Mosi Otuya. Thank you for the
Mosi Otuya.
Let's call, and Mongo Park did not discover.
No.
Would you go to Mosi Otuya?
I will.
I know you're a
but I will do that devil. Somebody died
yes, I saw
recently from that devil's pool.
But you know what happens? I haven't been there. I don't know that I will not do it. But I hear that when you get there...
Don't do it.
Please don't do it. That somebody's actually holding your legs.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
okay.
Holding
and there's a rope.
Yes, so that you know you're not... but that even the ride from... You take a boat from one place to get to that place. My swimming is not yet to the kind of level that I want to do.
The thing about traveling and doing what every celebrity wants to do, or what major people do, is they are expensive. They're very expensive.
Very expensive. So I would always choose Asia for some of my...
Talking about what's expensive, let's talk about how you will have to deal with this new situation. Wow. The United States has announced a partial suspension of visa issuance to nationals of Nigeria and 18 other countries. Well, let me mention the total of 24 countries. Effective 12:01 a.m. on January 1. Today is not January 1st, but it's just a clear statement they put out, 2026, citing national security concerns. Take note, national security concerns. According to the U.S. Department of State, the restriction affects non-immigrant visitor visas, as well as student and exchange visas and all immigrant visas, with limited exceptions. The affected countries are Nigeria, Angola, Antigua, and Barbuda, not forgetting to Benin Republic, Burundi, Cote d'Ivoire, Cuba, Dominica, Gabon, the Gambia, Malawi, and the likes. Well, guess what? Now, the authorities clarify that the policy applies only to foreign nationals outside the United States who do not already hold valid visas, stressing the existing visas issued before the effective date will not be revoked. Applicants may still submit applications and attend interviews, but issuance will depend on eligibility under the new proclamation. So why do I have to submit and go for interviews?
When you know
that I will pay money and I will not still enter. Anyway, the United States tweet made it clear, and they went ahead to explain. But how Nigerians reacting to this latest information? Well, let's tell you this. Let's go straight to what Nigerians are saying. The Emancipator. Powerful name.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
It is a wake-up call for us to build our nation. The true strength of a nation lies in the economic empowerment of its people. However, this can never fully materialize until greed and corruption are eradicated from our land. When systems and institutions fail, our capacity to negotiate effectively within the international system becomes severely limited. Emancipator, you are correct. Let's move on to another person quickly. This one is Behula, says, this is disappointing news for many Nigerians who rely on these visas for legitimate travel, education, or family visits. While the U.S. has every right to tighten security and address overstay rates, that's Nigeria's B1, B2 at 5.56%, and student visas at nearly 12% are indeed high, the blanket partial suspension feels overly broad and punitive. It disproportionately affects ordinary people who have nothing to do with security threats or overstays, especially students hoping to study in the US. They stated reasons like challenges from groups such as Boko Haram and valid concerns, but they don't justify restricting millions of law-abiding citizens.
I don't even think Boko Haram members are interested in going to the US.
Well, let's move on to another tweet very quickly. Your thoughts are well taken care of in terms of, you know, what we've said. All of you that voted no when U.S. government was asking Nigerian government to temporarily take refugee from U.S., just temporarily, you said now. No, you said no. Now, Ghana said yes. Bring them. We will take care of them. Nigerian government and Mr.
There are no refugees, there are people that were deported.
Don't complain. Everything has consequences.
Prisons.
She's just being sarcastic.
No, but I mean, she's right.
She has a point.
It's one of the reasons why Ghanaians seem to have
pretty
it
much
easy.
Ghana's name is not mentioned there. Princess U.S. mission Accra is advertising for thousands of available visa for tourists that want to visit U.S. for World Cup, but U.S. mission Nigeria is partially suspended visa issuance to Nigerians. They should serve as a learning curve for Nigerian government. We must, as a country, rebuild our value system if we are to be respected in the global stage. Nigerians are fleeing in droves because the system back home is broken. Well, I think that, let's take a final tweet. Saluna says, visa-free expires in 1 year. Now that these categories of visa have been suspended, what happens to those who have already paid for visa fees? What if it expires before a change of policy? Do they just book appointment and come to just be denied?
Valid question.
Well, that's what we're going to take. Reactions simply are indeed rife, and it has it that one, the United States had already mentioned that you must have at least $15,000 bond. Now, for those watching, what is a bond? They said you must have between $5,000 to $15,000 bond. It's the money that you keep, that they can see. You can't take it, you can't touch it. And if you're going to be in the US, it will be in their care. Take note. And if you'll be in the United States for, say, 6 months, should you overstay by a day or 3 days, that money is gone.
You don't go.
Now, how many Nigerians have $15,000? That's for some people, that's a year's pay. I'm talking about
more than a year's pay. I mean, look at Nigeria's minimum wage and calculate it. That's maybe 15 years pay.
Yeah,
to be honest,
in other words,
minimum wage are not trying to
what the US is trying to tell you is, listen, we don't need you in our country. And another one is
they're putting barriers.
Germany is also threatening to pull out of the World Cup.
If you're looking at 15,000 at the rate of
calculation
1,415 naira per dollar to a dollar, that's 21,750,000.
Does Ikechukwu, who just finished secondary school and he wants to go to the university and he wants to go abroad, does he have that?
I don't know that that applies to students. I think it's more for those who are
country, their rules. And what this tells us is that, I mean, getting to the United States as a Nigerian these days, like passing camel passing through the eye of the needle. They obviously, based on our bilateral relations and things that we've done in the past, and we have a government in America that is very business-like, quid pro quo. He says you give. It's very transactional, and they asked Nigeria to take deportees, some from prisons, and we refused to. So maybe this is their sort of payback. They could use pretexts of insecurity and all of that. But don't despair. The United States is just one of over 200 countries in the world. If you don't go to the United States, you can go to other places, and the current administration would not be there forever and ever. I'm sure if there's a change of government, these policies tend to change. Yeah.
Well, don't forget too that Germany is threatening to pull out of the World Cup.
Yes, but they've because of the Greenland situation, they've come to a deal.
Yeah.
Yesterday in Davos, they had high-stake meetings with NATO's Secretary General and other European leaders. So the word is that they've come to a sort of agreement, and it won't be using military force anymore. So they've found their level.
And the president also, we hear, spoke as well.
Yes, he spoke and he referred to Greenland as Iceland 4 times. I can imagine if Joe Biden said that, he would not let him rest. But
no, we'll let that go. We'll let that slide. It's human. It's human to make such mistakes.
Iceland.
4 times.
It's human.
Greenland.
No.
It's human.
They're calling another country.
Maybe he wasn't briefed properly.
No, somebody that
saying he wants
he's coveting Greenland the way he was coveting the Nobel Prize. Once if laser focuses on something, it's very, it doesn't care about. He said he's not compelled to follow international law anymore. Just his own morals.
Okay,
it's the age we live in.
Anyway,
now.
Permit me to, before we go to one of the good stories we have, permit me to piggyback to one of the stories that we're also going to talk about today, which is the Kaduna situation. The update is that residents in Kaduna are calling for the sack of the commissioner of police in Kaduna. They're saying that he should be fired. Also, the Christian Association, good enough, we're also going to talk with them with
Reverend J.J. Hayab this morning.
Yes, who will join us. They're also saying that it was a complete absurdity for a police commissioner who should have been in charge, mobilizing and ensuring that they had gotten the Christians who were kidnapped, but they played silent and said nothing had happened, that this should be looked into. I think the most important thing while we're bringing this conversation up, even though we're going to have it later on, is the fact that I haven't seen any tweet from the SSA to the president. No one has, one, acknowledged, two, shared sympathy, three,
let me check,
gone as far as, well, maybe.
I don't think they have said anything.
I haven't seen anything.
Check, yeah.
You know, but what I've seen is tweets about, road construction in so places.
It's called the ostrich mentality. They would rather bury their head in the sand than acknowledge the loss and the kidnappings of these fellow Nigerians, because it would, in their minds, bring embarrassment, and it's a negative story. So they won't want to do more credence, and they believe the Kaduna State is the Kaduna State's government's problem. So they should
I want
deal
to
with
ask you a question, Oliver Benga.
Yeah.
I mean, it's road to election, whether we like it or not. In as much as we're going to have a special on breakfast as well, build up to it. Don't you think this should change the people's minds to say, this one wants to come back to be re-elected? When things were happening to my people.
In a sense, in a saner society, yes. In a saner society where the instrument of poverty cannot be manipulated against the people.
And when people have collective compassion, regardless of where this incident takes place.
Tribal or religious differences.
That a fellow Nigerian or fellow Nigerians have been kidnapped. Just
to mention how the impact of what Joe has just said, if we don't understand, that Bayo Onanuga, I'm on his page on X, and 14 hours ago, he's sharing the update on the ongoing construction of Zaria Funtua Gesel Sokoto Federal Highway. I'm seeing another one, Ilorin Jeba Mokwa Road hits 81% completion. I see another one about, I'm just seeing retweets and reposts of interviews. I'm not seeing anything about it. We're becoming desensitized. Hundreds, according to the reports. They initially denied that any kidnap happened.
Denied?
Then hundreds of people kidnapped from these churches. Yesterday we had a guest who came to say that this is politicized to make the government look bad. Who cares about what the government
I had asked him if he thinks it's politicized, and he said yes, that it's politicized.
Nobody cares
Nigerians
about
have been abducted, whether you look good or bad, it's not the issue. People's lives are
at risk. How are you concerned about your public perception or how you are perceived? That is people pleasing of the highest order. When lives of citizens are at risk. We can't guarantee the safety of these people.
I think the SSAs, the media handlers of Mr. President, they are aware of this, but they don't want to amplify it because they feel it's an embarrassment to the government.
But Benga, I keep saying this and I'm going to say it again. In saner climes, in other countries, the security chiefs would hold a press conference. The entire chain of command,
yes.
I'm expecting that the new chief of defense staff would by now address the people. And we've also mentioned the NSA. The NSA hasn't said anything in a long time. No press conferences, no addressing the issue at hand. For me, it's hands-on. It shows hands-on. When fire burns and no statement was made as regards what happened.
I'm not trying to make an excuse for the government, but one of the reasons why they might choose to play dumb or bury their heads in the sand is the frequency of this incident, because they might just turn to obituary announcers if you keep reporting. But you are doing a disservice to the memories and to the lives of those people if you keep quiet and you don't even acknowledge this incident.
Like we're in class, can I make a suggestion that will help the government? Create a national report room. NRR, just create that. What that does is it takes the presidency and the government away from frequent announcement. That national report room, designate it as the national reporting desk.
But the presidency did make an announcement recently that they're going to have weekly press briefings and then journalists, well, I think even daily, daily press briefings.
Where is it?
So journalists can always ask questions. Members of the State House press corps and correspondents.
Mr. Peter will give a statement on this. He said he's disappointed and that he should try and rescue the boys. Former President former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar made a statement. What's his name? The politician also made a statement. You had people are making statements. If you create this response room or report room, it takes you away from trying to report. What happens is if there's any insecurity incident, Nigerians know that, okay, fine, the president has designated this report room. They will be the ones to announce, either through a video or announcement. We are aware so happened. We understand that this has caused this. However, we'll give you updates. And as it happens, the police give updates regularly. We can inform you that the police are on it. It just helps
like
Nigerians to believe
similar
that.
to the COVID period where we used to have NSCDC.
NSCDC. I'm not sure.
No, NSCDC is the civil defense.
No,
I'm sorry.
NDDC.
National.
Wow, we are messed this morning.
2020 was just 6 years ago.
National Center for Disease Control.
Yes, NCDCP.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so great suggestion, and let's hope the presidency will bring this to fruition. It's press.
The summary of it all is we want to hear about this in the news, as unpleasant as it is. We cannot turn away. Not speaking about it means that we're shying away from the reality of what's happening to our brothers and our sisters in other parts of the country who are unfortunately kidnapped. It's our reality. We can't try to make the government look good or opt for different optics. The optics is the reality of what we have, and we must project that. The government must continue to demand security of the lives and of the citizens in Nigeria. Let's go on a very quick break. We'll come back and we have another story to look at this morning on Wake Up Conversations. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. As we look to wrap up Wake Up Conversations, let's give you some good news. The federal government,
really good news?
I mean, pretty much.
I see the positive angles to it.
The federal government has unveiled a sweeping reform. Yes, they have, to end the HND degree dichotomy by allowing polytechnics to award degrees. A move, it says, will reposition technical education as a backbone of Nigeria's economic growth. I feel they should have done this since, but then again, we love it. Speaking in Abuja at a high-level retreat of council chairman, Commissioner of Education, Rectors, Registrars, and Bosses, Education Minister Dr. Tunji Alausa. Some would say it's Alausa. I don't know what's the correct.
It's Alausa.
Alausa, yeah. Said the policy is designed to correct long-standing inequalities against polytechnic graduates while preserving the institution's strength in practical industry-focused training. He noted that the reform, aligned with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, aims to rebuild or build a skilled workforce capable of solving real-world problems, driving innovation and supporting industrial expansion, adding that strict quality assurance, stronger industry partnerships and improved funding will guide the transition. Well, let's see what Nigerians are saying about this quickly as we look up to wrap Wake Up Conversations. Well, Omoba Segville says, I feel for HND holders because I know what they passed through before they can gain admission for masters in universities. True. So universities even restricts the opportunity to distinction and upper credit holders. In ministries, HND holders are barred at a certain level and they cannot go past that except they have a BSc. This has to be restructured to enable a level playing ground, and he's just done that, okay? And we're happy. Francis Yu says, so after decades of treating HND like half certificate, they suddenly remember fairness? Good move, but let's be honest, this isn't kindness, it's pressure. If polytechnics start awarding degrees, universities might finally feel real competition, and some people are not ready for that fight. Francis Yu says, Jones Clef says, this is not the necessary thing to do. First, to what advantage will it be if you upgrade certificate without creating job opportunities? Jones, relax, take it easy. A promising move if implementation finally matches a repeated announcement. This could genuinely unlock polytechnic potential and decades of unfair discrimination. That's what he says. Nigel Talker says, it's like this is a case that is difficult for the gods to settle. How many times, yes, is the federal government scrapping this? I agree with you. This happened during the tenure of Muhammadu Buhari. It was mentioned. Also, previous tenure, they also mentioned that, but they never, saw the day of light. The light of day, rather.
But I think what happened previously was that they said it's equivalent to a university degree, not awarding a degree.
Them certificates. I just hope this is true and will become reality, because it's this very week I felt the pain of my degree the most, even with my distinction, he said. What a painful one. But tell us what you think about it in our comment section. We're streaming live on YouTube. Let's know. I think it's a good move. It's fantastic. I think every economy should be built under the workforce of people who graduate and then they learn skills. If it's not skills, it's a problem.
So it's good, but there's a caveat. It's good because it then falls back to what we've been talking about in terms of strengthening job creation. Lots of young people who truly are not getting jobs because they graduated from polytechnics, and polytechnics are viewed with a different lens from how university degrees are being viewed. So making sure that they have the same value increases their chances at getting better jobs.
But then
however, the quality of what is being churned out is very important. So if you're going to upgrade them in terms of the value of their certificate, I hope that they are upgrading them in terms of the quality of the education, and that it matches
the curriculum,
the curriculum matches.
That your graduates are fit for employment, and the quality exactly is what we should hammer on. Because in the private sector, a lot of companies are complaining that they have to sift through so many CVs.
Even the ones that graduated with degrees.
Yes. I was even about telling you that even the BScs.
First class graduates.
Even the BScs.
There's a lot of work to be done.
It's also a problem. I'm telling you.
So while on one side, it's a welcome development, we should work on the quality.
I think what we need a lot of practicality to also add to what is not just theoretical. It needs to be, and if they're going to help the HNDs, I mean, it's just like China. In China, from secondary school, they start, I mean, your DVDs that we used to buy then, it's coupled by students in GSS2, equivalent in China, because they know how to do all of it, they teach them. So if we have, I mean, it's all about just having a production economy. I'm sure if we have that, the area boys are tasking people, if they know how to make bicycles.
Then also, I agree with him, the emphasis on university degree. Not, people can go to technical school, you could learn how to use your hands, you could learn tradesmanship and things like that, carpentry and all of that. Not everybody needs to go to university.
I agree.
And when you go to university, the quality of the education should speak.
Should be.
Yeah. We need to fill the funding and infrastructure gaps for these polytechnics and ensure that we get as good a quality, because even the universities in terms of quality, they're struggling. But let us know what you think. We're streaming live here, YouTube, News Central TV Live. Let's now bring you our top stories for today. This morning on Breakfast Central, our top stories: court orders INEC to recognize Nenadi Usman as Labour Party leader. The drama continues. Christian Association of Nigeria demands rescue of abducted worshippers. And away from that, Nigeria loses fuel subsidy savings to debt servicing, according to a report. Looking at what it will take to improve security in Plateau as the Chief of Army Staff ends operational visits, recommits to professionalism. We'll be bringing the newspaper front pages this morning. Join us for all these and more.
The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has faulted the police, saying that they were too quick to deny and downplay reports that over 160 members of a church were kidnapped in the Kajuru area, accusing security officials of trying to cover up rising insecurity in the state rather than confronting it. The association maintains that the victims were genuine worshippers who were abducted by armed bandits during a religious gathering, insisting that the police's response was insensitive and dismissive of the victims' suffering.
Let's also tell you that the religious body has called for the immediate and unconditional release of its abducted worshippers. It urged security agencies and relevant authorities to strengthen coordination, improve verification process, and ensure that credible reports from communities are treated with the seriousness that they deserve. Well, let's have our guest who joins us this morning, Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern States, and FCT, Reverend Joseph Hayab, joins us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to all our viewers.
Good morning. It's quite sad that we have another incident or another case in our hands. Well, CAN insisted that more than 160 church members were kidnapped, while the police continue to deny that any abduction took place. So can you share with us why these accounts were different, even though the police has come forth to agree eventually that truly there were kidnappings that did take place? What may have led them to say initially that there wasn't, if at all?
I'm a pastor. I don't work for the police. I'm only a citizen that believe we should support the police to succeed. So your question will be better answered by the police. They know why they chose to say what they said. But to me, as a faith leader, I would say it is sad. If my house is on fire and I call you and say, fire, fire, you don't tell me that it's not true, there's no fire. You have to come and see and be sure there's no fire. Even when they claim to have come, how, when did they come, and who came with them? Stories are flying and coming out now. You see, that's the trouble with dealing with locals. Be careful what you tell them. They would tell their brothers. When those who came and told the locals to deny that nothing happened, how can they deny when their friends, their brothers, their parents are in the bush? So this way, the mix-up that happened. It's difficult to lay your hand exactly why the denial in the first place. But simply, now that reality has been confirmed, people were kidnapped, people are still in the hands of the criminals or terrorists. All we want is go after them, make sure you rescue them. Citizens must feel secure, citizens must be protected, and that's all citizens are asking from government.
Okay, so do we have an actual number of the people who were kidnapped?
We've said about numbers severally. I'm not sure there's a problem with numbers, so let's not mix up the conversation. We don't have a problem with number. On the day they were taken, we know the number that they were taken. 11 people came back. We know the difference between the number they were taken and the 11 people that came back. So if you take out 11 from 177, you have a number. I think we should downplay this overemphasizing on number, but talk about lives that are suffering in the bush.
And talking about the lives that are suffering in the bush, what is the latest report? Have there been any communication with those who abducted these church members, and what's the latest effort on rescue?
For us, we have not had communications with them. We don't know if the security have done that, so we don't want to say what we don't have knowledge about. But most importantly, yesterday, the governor came to the community. The governor met with the people. The governor appealed to the people. And the governor assured the people that efforts are in top gear to make sure that our brothers and sisters, our wives, our daughters, our mothers, our parents that are in the bush will be rescued. And that's what we look forward to. But they have not had contact with us, so we can't say anything outside that. But the governor himself came, he saw and tested what the pains, the agony of staying days without your loved one that the people are facing.
How would you analyze the response of the government so far? Yes, you did say the governor has come and has assured you, but would you say that that has given hope to you, to the citizens?
Yeah, you see, the governor in the past few years have done well. He has shown commitment to restoration of peace comparing to what was happening in the past. So there is this confidence and love and trust that people have for the governor. What led to this mix-up of denial is something we are not really sure of who did what. But whoever misled the government to have accepted the denial in the first place did all of us and especially the government a disservice. And so he owes us apology, because I remember when this story came out, my humble self, I suffered so much attack on social media. Ignorant people who knew nothing were insulting me. They say, "Can liar." They say, "I am liar." Now, who is the liar? But you know, they are not men enough to own up and say, "We are sorry, we lied against you, or we misunderstood you." They don't have that understanding, but that's okay. I'm a pastor. Jesus, even during his earthly ministry, suffered such allegations and accusations, but he remained firm. So, but that's not the matter. The most important thing is that people trust the governor. People see what he has been doing. This particular incident was actually an unfortunate one, and the mistake also came up with the denial by the police. So this is one of the challenges we face. But I believe that the coming may have doused the attention. Don't forget, in Christian teaching, we teach our people forgiveness. We teach our people, when whoever wrongs you, if you come in humility and say, "I'm sorry," take it. So I don't think we have the time to begin to get worried what they did in the past. Now that they have accepted, what we want to see is the ongoing action. When will I go back to tell people who accuse me that, no, they lied against me? I don't think we have the time. What I am interested in now is my prayer, my support, my commitment is to work with whoever to just get these people back, since the truth is now open.
Okay, I just want to mention that after the last incident, the number one citizen, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had mentioned in a detailed press statement that he would advise and rather make clear that schools and churches should move away from areas that are very close to the forest reserves. Is this a thought that Khan is looking into? Maybe move closer to the city where you have more people?
I don't understand that, but let me probably do some little teaching to those who advise a president. This community is a community that has been existing for a long time. So how do they move their church? This community is a community that has been existing for a long time. How will they move their schools? Unless government want to bring all of us to the city, I don't know whether the city has space that will contain the entire citizens of the place. You see, what makes us Nigeria is because we have a large and a vast land, a big country with large citizens, almost 230-something to 250 million people. That's what makes us Nigeria. So all we need to do as Nigerians is to know the size of our country, to know the length of our land, and to provide security to cover every territory of our country, to provide services that will make everybody who lives within this country, geographical place called Nigeria, the comfort he needs. To suggest that people should move, it's not possible. I'm sorry, we're not discussing Papere, but let me use Papere as an example. Papere is a remote area in Niger State. That's why today people would boldly beat their chest and say Niger State has the largest landmark in Nigeria. If you can proudly say that, then provide the same security for that largest landmark. Don't just proudly say you have the largest and you're not doing anything to cover it. So some advice sometimes you just wonder, do they understand that these villagers have been there? That is where they farm, that's where they live, that's where they brought up their children who eventually come to be powerful people in the city. So the villages must be. There's no way we can turn all the villages into city, because those villages are in the remote area. It's just that we've not been doing good to our remote area for a long time. We centered what we call development in the urban place, and most of our villages have nothing. That's why we could offer such advice, but I'm not sure that advice is tenable. Unless we don't want the children of the poor to be educated, we don't want the people in the village to serve God, then we can go with that advice. Look at the picture you are showing and look at the communities. When will these people come and move again? To where? They've been there for decades. So to move to where? So just provide services and then guide the people on the role they will play to help you ensure that if there's anything, they tell you. But you see, this is where trust comes in. With the way deniers came up, how will people trust tomorrow to even tell stories? But as I said earlier, we have a forgiving spirit. We will teach people to remember that, look, whoever wrongs you, even if 77 times, just forgive him. So we will find a way to help people understand this and keep trust and tell what they know. But to suggest that people should move their churches or play their schools, I'm not sure we understand what we call Nigeria.
Now, Reverend Ayab, yesterday on this show, we did speak to a security expert, and he did suggest some sort of community organization in terms of security, providing CCTVs What advices can given to its members that are exposed to, that live in areas that are exposed to violent extremist groups and this sort of security lapses?
No, you are not clear now. You were going low. You started speaking, I can hear you, but the last words I didn't hear you.
Oh,
Can you come
I said
again?
what advice or in what ways can organizing its members in these churches to be more aware and more security conscious in terms of the way they organize? For example, our churches fitted with CCTVs. Is there an early warning system? Is there connection to the state's police command in case incidents like this happen?
Let me begin with the early warning system. I think our mechanism takes care of the early warning system. That's why when we hear things and know things faster, because when our people start getting suspicious of something, they communicate through us and through us to the system, and the system works. So our early warning mechanism is so organized that we can get information faster, we can disseminate it to the right people. What they do with it and how they do with it is the problem. For example, this community that you see, a week before this incident, on Sunday, bandits went there and took away 20 people and kept them and demanded for money. And about 2.7 million was given to the bandit before the 20 people returned. These issues were reported, but in the country, people don't believe themselves, or the system seems not to believe our people, and so no actions were taken. If not, the next Sunday, police would have been everywhere. Even when this one happened and they were told, you saw what happened. So that's where the problem is. But we also have offered a lot of trainings and seminars and conferences to remind church members that, look, we have to also provide security for our churches by either using our youth or using our retired military or security members or people, adults who are reasonable, who are sensible, to guard our church. But you see, that's where leadership comes in. There are some leaders who up to today believe that, why do we need to guard ourselves? And then they will go in and everybody want to be in church. No, I want to appeal to all Christian GOs, to all Christian heads of denominations. Now look, it is not good for us every day to just come and be lamenting that our people are taken. Can we do this simple thing? There's not even anywhere that is safe. Both in the city and in the rural area, everywhere is exposed to danger. So churches everywhere must have a system where, as church is going on, whether it is choir practice, whether it is Bible study, certain group of people, their job is to watch over. And let me do some little spiritual teaching here. It is ignorant for you to think that if you don't sit inside the church and then you are guarding outside, you don't receive the blessing of the church. No, the fact is that you receive the same blessing with the person who sits and listen to the prayers and listen to the teaching. You may not hear it, but then you will be rotating. Today you are the one watching. Tomorrow you will be sitting in church. Next tomorrow another person will be watching. Others will be sitting in church. We must develop this as our own contribution to securing ourselves. If we have people around watching and we saw these people coming, someone can raise alarm. Either we come out to protect ourselves or we move. If they want to pick, they may not pick the kind of number they are having. So church people watching me, I beg you, don't spiritualize these things. These are human things. Provide security for your church. There's nothing wrong about that. But you must also understand that some of these rural churches are poor, because if you talk about providing security, the part that works for them is the volunteer. But to provide it, and even you talk about CCTV, who's supposed to provide that? You know how difficult these things are. We just hope that our security will wake up, we will take certain measures and ensure we prevent these things before they happen, not until they happen and we're asking what can we do. There are so many things attached to this, which I may not want to speak all the time, but one thing is certain, that every church must wake up to also watch over her territory, because we cannot be paying bandits. Those money would provide some of the things we are suggesting now.
Okay, I still want to follow up with what you said. You've made some very strong suggestions. Now, the guest who also made these suggestions yesterday, Dr. Abdullahi Awal, he was of the view that these attacks were politically motivated and that they were meant to make the government look bad, that the reports of this attack is to make the government look bad. He does not necessarily, he's saying it's a 50-50. He doesn't necessarily believe that 3 churches were attacked. That is, yes, he believes people were kidnapped, but that it was 3 churches at the same time doesn't seem probable. So what would your response be to him or people who have the same sentiment that it's more political than anything else? Or do you agree with that?
I'm not hearing you. There's a problem with the voice from your studio.
Oh, so sorry about that. I'll try to say it again.
No, now you're back. Now you're back.
Okay. Our guest yesterday also made, beyond the suggestion he made, he was of the view that these attacks were politically motivated to make the government look bad, especially in the wake of the genocide claims that have now in some measure involved the United States of America. So he says it's to make the government look bad. He doesn't completely agree that all 3 churches were attacked at the same time and the kidnappers kidnapped people at the same time. He believes it's a 50-50 chance and it's likely probable that this happened. So my question to you is your response to him or, you know, others who share same sentiments, and asking if you
These are
agree
the
with
analysts that create problem for Nigeria. Do you think that these local villagers will go and connive with someone to kidnap their friends, their family members for some politics? See, I quite agree with some part of what he's saying. The politics has nothing to do with the church or the people. Probably some rivals or some enemies may sponsor some criminals or some terrorists to dent the government image. But let me answer that clearly. For us as Christians in Kaduna State, they have failed and failed woefully. We love Uba, we trust Uba, we agree with Uba. He's a human being, he may make mistakes, but we cannot destroy him because of some kind of selfish attitude of some greedy politicians. People who sponsor those kind of things were in power. We saw they couldn't even attend to people when people were in need. So we don't care about that. But so his insinuation may have some things that we need to think about, but to say that, no, that's the last thing the church would ever dream of or allow to happen. How can I allow my mother to be in the bush because of some political issues? I think this is clearly out of place. If those who are doing it to stir anger and to justify what Trump says, they don't belong to us. But I'm not sure. They've been kidnapping Christians in churches before Trump make his statement. I think that man needs to, if he's watching me, needs to examine his mind and his head to know that in public statements, you have to be careful saying certain things that will just further provoke anger. How on earth will we see? And from his name, you make us start creating meaning. But I forgive him for his ignorance. I can tell you nobody would have thought of that. But if another enemy for political reason is trying that, then I've said here he failed. We will not distrust Uba just because of that. Uba have tried. Uba have brought back peace in Kaduna. Uba is making effort. He may not be perfect, but at least compare him to others. You will give him a B, and then give others probably, keep them on F. So I think we must clap for Uba for this. So I'm not sure we belong to that thinking. Our own is those who think they want to torment people to create division will not have us as partners. But let me add to this. There has been some credible intelligence in the last few weeks, or if not months, where we have been told that efforts, these criminals want to attack Niger, Kogi, and Kwara State, and especially Christians to provoke anger. But you see, probably if that works, probably they are still in some since Kaduna State and the middle of Kaduna and southern Kaduna are like, they have a great number of Christians. They may have chosen to come to do this, but we refuse to be provoked. We are instead determined to cooperate with government, to cooperate with security agencies, to ensure that there is sustainable peace and we secure our places. But the error that actually happened of denial was something we didn't like because it shows someone is pretending. And that's why we didn't like that.
All right.
Those who are misleading the governor.
All right, Reverend, as we wrap up this conversation, I just want to get your thoughts. I mean, if we go back to the time of King Artaxerxes, way back, a prophet or a man of God, otherwise known as Nehemiah, was going to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And the likes of Sanballat, who happened to be the enemies, didn't want that to happen. But it turned out that Nehemiah and the men had to, on one hand, have a weapon, while on the other hand, they had to carry out the work. So do you think it's high time that Christians also have like some Christian police in churches, especially in that area, so they can protect themselves. After all, the same Bible says, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar and what belongs to God to God. So I don't know, what is Khan thinking? Are you thinking towards that direction?
I believe after anchoring this program, we'll look for a church for you to add to your work by preaching.
I may not need one,
thank you very
but
much.
it's fine.
Joe.
What's your thought?
But you know, we have to also look at the environment we are operating. In Nigeria today, when you ask young men to carry guns or carry den weapons or carry whatever for protection, tomorrow police will just come round them up and say they have caught gun runners. And then present them on TV, that gun runners, and nobody will defend them that they were just protecting their church. So these are part of the things we have to understand. We do understand what you are saying, and we appreciate it, and we are thinking that way, but we have to also understand the way the things run in Nigeria. Because most of those they parade on your televisions as gun runners were just probably some innocent young children who were angry because their parents were attacked and came out with guns to secure their community, and there's nobody to arrest, and then they come and arrest them and parade them as gun runners. So you end up not knowing the difference between true gun runners and people who are just freedom fighters protecting the environment. So, and so many things. So we would look at some of these suggestions. We know about it, but we have to also consider what happens in our country and things. So Nehemiah in his time, probably the government and leaders of his time couldn't come after him. But in this time, I tell you, if you are not careful, you will see more people paraded every day that they are gun runners, and people will say, they are the killers. So they are killing and accusing others, not knowing that they just came to protect their church. But I still want to suggest to churches that we must not go to sleep by all packing ourselves into the building. Let's do what is right to secure our people. Let's show our parents, look, we can leave all our old age men and little children in church to be praying, where we, the young ones, the strong, agile ones, stand outside to ensure we watch over. Then we can divide ourselves into days. So it's not that every day you are not in church. There's a day you are in, there's a day you are out. We must worship in safety before we enjoy worship. So thank you for that candid advice. And we will continue to look for ways. But let's also tell people that we know the implication of that. So many young people today, there's an existing court case. These are part of it. Someone saw people are killing his people and he reacted, and he's been accused of killing others. So these are part of it. So we have to be careful about some of this sometimes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend J.J. Hayab, Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, FCTN 19 Northern States. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thanks for your
Thank you
insights.
very much. And I will pray for security or safety in Nigeria everywhere.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
All right. We have to wrap up that conversation now, but it continues as we get updates. We will bring you here on Breakfast Central. We're going to break, and when we come back, we have other conversations to look at, but let's share with you what these other conversations are. Coming up next, court orders INEC to recognize Nenadi Usman as Labour Party leader. Nigeria loses fuel subsidy savings to debt servicing. We're looking at that debt servicing crisis. And we'll be talking again about the Kaduna church attacks. Governor Sani visits Kermin Wali and empathizes with victims. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to recognize Senator Nenadi Usman as the interim national chairman of the Labour Party. This follows a ruling by Justice Peter Lifu, who cited a Supreme Court judgment from April 2025 that declared the tenure of Julius Abure's leadership expired. The ruling effectively removes Abure from the helm of the party and installs a caretaker committee led by the former Minister of Finance, Senator Usman. But the Abure-led faction isn't backing down, as they have vowed to appeal the ruling and insist that they remain the legitimate leadership. Joining us for this discussion is public affairs analyst, Professor Simeon Unna, who's here with us in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, it's great to have you here. Much later, we hope to be joined by Mr. Abayomi Arabambi, and we hope that we can have a fuller conversation as to what the implications of this are, especially because the Federal High Court has ruled and INEC has been ordered to recognize Senator Nenadi Usman. What's your take on this?
Well, my take is that the court has spoken. I read some of the outcome of the court last night and listened to news too. And Abure is hinging his argument on the fact that the court cannot determine what happens in a party, that is an internal affairs of the party. But the court reminded him that no, This is not internal wrangling in the party alone. There was a Supreme Court judgment in 2025 that equally removed him, and the judge hinged his argument on that the Supreme Court had already done that. So I don't know why he is still saying that he's been there. He's been there. He was there as caretaker and then elected. So what is he looking for? You see, if not, that's the question that should be asked. What is he looking for? Except they destroy some of these political structures, they won't rest.
Now,
under normal circumstances, one expected that he would have allowed, sleeping dogs to lie.
No, you said
after
destroy.
this judgment.
Do you think he would destroy what he loves? Because, I mean, he loves to be in the Labour Party, but or do you think there's someone orchestrating the destruction?
Sorry. Well, I've said it here before. It's a leprous hand that is doing that. And I said it, I'm going to repeat myself, for fear of being sounding like a broken record. Sorry. I said it earlier. These things are the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob. If a bird is dancing, there must be somebody around beating drums for that bird that is dancing. So we know where some of these things are coming from, because, look at it from this paradigm. Let's do a trajectory of all the political parties. PDP was the first to have issues. You just said, can he destroy what he loves? Somebody that loves PDP and claims to love PDP has eventually destroyed PDP. He claims to love PDP because he said from 1999 to date that has never left PDP. He is one of those that have never left PDP. So from that, you can say that he loves PDP. But he is the person now that is putting a nail in the coffin of PDP. Right. So back to Labour. Now, if you trace that, PDP started having issues, and before you know it, court cases here and there, convention or no convention, chairman or no chairman. Some people moved and went to SDP. SDP immediately started going to court. SDP had never gone to court before. Trace it. Before this period, that the coalition now wanted to use SDP. They started going to court. They started fighting themselves. Now, as if that was not enough, they said, okay, let's move from SDP to ADC. ADC started having its own issues again. They started filing court cases here and there.
That brings me to my
question.
Yeah.
Let me land on this. Now, the Oshu governor now felt because of the fight in PDP that he might not, INEC might not recognize candidate of PDP. He now said, okay, let me move to a smaller party, Accord. Accord started having issues. So you don't need, a baby died in the night.
The witch cried in the night.
The witch cried in the night and the baby died in the morning. You don't need to ask who killed the baby.
Maybe it's malaria that killed us. But let's talk about a theme that kept reoccurring in your opening statement, and that's the courts. Some have criticized our democracy as a sort of judicial democracy. It's the job of INEC to conduct elections and also announce results. But oftentimes we see these results are contested, even internal party politics. Everybody just heads to the court. What does this mean for our democracy? And is it that we as adults cannot properly organize ourselves or settle disputes internally that we're always going to the courts for one issue or the other? The courts are inundated with political cases.
Apologies to the late fella. We don't have a democracy yet. What we have, according to fella then, and what is playing out now is demonstration of grace. That's what we have. There's no democracy yet. Because in a democracy, you cannot say presidency is not served a la carte. You have to grab it and run with it. Is that democracy? That's demonstration of grace. So at the end of the day, we don't have democracy yet. Maybe we will later have that, because democracy defined simply as
government for the people, by the people,
and for the people. Is that what we have now? No, we have government by the elite, for the elite. That's what we have.
Okay. Now, the party division at the national level is not just, doesn't just affect the national leaders, even the leaders, in other ramifications. In some measure, maybe you might categorize Governor Oti as the national leader, even though he doesn't have the officially elected position, right? But there are those who argue that maybe it's time for Governor Oti to leave the Labour Party, saying as it hasn't yet fixed its house, and a house divided within itself cannot stand. What would be your take about that?
If I'm to advise Governor Oti, I would ask him to tarry a bit. And I will tell you why I'm saying that. I don't see, except things happen the way it's going now, and I'll tell you that. I'm going to just give me a little time to explain what I mean. If they go by the normal electoral process, I don't see Obi picking the ticket of ADC.
Who do you see picking up the ticket?
Atiku, of course, Atiku, because he
what
has
are
the
your
deep
reasons?
pocket. He has the deep pocket. Obi is not going to give shish. And this guy will use his deep pocket to pick the ticket. There are no two ways about it. The only thing is that the ruling party wants to stop him. Don't forget, you see, at times, people don't understand how these things play out. When they went for Okowa, they were not actually going for Okowa. They were going for Atiku. Because they know what transpired. Okowa has come out to say that the money he collected, 100 billion, was given to Atiku, and it was the son that was coming to pick that was why the son was first picked. And the son now has gone to APC, so he's now a saint. Because we have been rightly told in this country that if you're a sinner, if you cross over to APC, you become a saint. So the son has now become a saint. So the only sinner now is Atiku.
You've raised a number of issues. So basically, if I'm to go by what you are saying,
I've not landed.
I know you haven't landed. I don't want us to forget this. Okay,
Yes.
Please go ahead. I just wanted us to talk about Atiku's son. When you are done, address Atiku's son moving, because you've made mention of that. But please go ahead.
Okay. So at the end of the day, now if they go against Atiku, that's the only time Obi can pick that ticket. So why I said Oti should tarry a bit is that in the event that Atiku picks that ticket, people like Professor Patrick Utom have said unequivocally that if Obi plays a second fiddle, they will leave that party. This lady from Kaduna, what's her name again? Aisha, categorically said, I have never picked the card of any political party before. I am picking this card of ADC because of Obi. If he plays second fiddle, I'll chicken out. The main obedient platform has equally told Obi that it's either you are the candidate or we're out. So that tells me that if Obi fails to pick the ticket, he might look for another political platform.
Well, he's said it
pursue.
categorically that he's not leaving, even if he doesn't pick the ticket.
Well, let's pray he doesn't, because the only thing is that Obi has proven to be a different politician. Otherwise, I would have said you don't trust politicians. The late MKO said he was done with politics after they have cancelled the presidential election once or twice. He said he was done. And again, he now went, rumor now came out that he now went to pick the ticket of SDP when IBB now floated the two parties, SDP and the NLC. And he picked the ticket of SDP, the primaries. So journalists went to meet him at the airport. Chief, you said you are done with politics. He turned around and said, and you believe that? Then you are not a politician. So that tells you who politicians are.
Okay, before we move on to another thing, just going off what you said when you were explaining the dynamics of why you don't think Governor Oti should leave the Labour Party, you made reference to Atiku's son going to the APC and it being an avenue for him to be like they say, deodorized.
Yes,
Bring us back to use that.
Yeah, Sani said,
So you
Senator
believe
Sani
that
said that.
it's planned work? You believe that it's political strategy as opposed to the fact that he maybe doesn't believe in his father's ability to clinch?
No. It's not that. It's not that he doesn't believe in his father to clinch the ticket. You see, this guy has been working with his father. It is a political strategy to be left off the hook because it's been proven that he was the guy that was picking the money from Okoa. And EFCC had gotten that record. So if he fails to do the needful, they will teach him a lesson. So his best bet was to go over to APC and quench that fire that might consume him. So at the end of the day, if he now becomes a saint, another sinner is in the making. So except the opposition will start crying foul that they are doing that to muzzle opposition and stuff like that, and that will, the ruling party will now listen to that and back down. Otherwise, watch out what is going to happen.
Now, Prof, now that the court has recognized Senator Nenadi Usman as the legitimate leader of the Labour Party, I do understand that the Abure faction has said they will be challenging this in court. They're going to appeal. But from the look of things, does it mean that we're beginning to see a Labour Party that is putting its house in order? And will this be the end of the internal wranglings once a decisive decision is made on this?
I don't see this as the end of the internal wranglings.
I mean, the courts would have made a pronouncement. And,
yes. You have forgotten that at the twilight of the last election, in 2022, it was the same issue that when the Labour Party thought that they were on the right path after their chairman passed on, and that was how Abure came in. They felt that with Abure, they are coasting clear. But somewhere from the blues, what's his name? Apapa came up with Arabambi.
Yes, Lamidi Apapa.
And then you still had that faction again, something that everybody thought, with the way things were going, that the issue had been laid to rest. So I don't see this being the end of the wrangling in Labour, because they still want to weaken the opposition.
So you think some elements might throw spanners into their works?
Of course, which they have
But
already
are they
done.
such a big threat anymore now that Mr. Peter Obi has left the party? Do you think that the ruling party or detractors might want to, what would they gain from destabilizing the Labour Party?
Well, Peter Obi left, but his deputy is still there, that is still there, and that he wants to fly the flag of the party.
But he's come out to deny that, though.
That he will fly the flag.
Yes, he came to deny that it's just rumors.
Okay.
However,
that's politicians for you, because I listened to him, not social media, I listened to him say that he was not leaving the Labour Party, and he was going to build the Labour Party to the level that it will become the envy of other political parties. What does that tell you?
Okay,
well,
so
they've come out to, sorry, just to follow up on that. After the court announced Nenadi Usman, the Julius Abure leadership has come out to say that they're going to go to the appeal court.
Yeah?
That they would not allow that stand. They must ensure that they go to the appeal court. The question is, why is it that the court is just recognizing Nenadi Usman after Peter Obi has left the party?
These are the issues.
Why is it that the court did not acknowledge Nenadi Usman right during the time when Peter Obi was still there?
You see, I've said it on this table before. I'm going to say it again. One of the major challenges we have in this, their so-called democracy, is the courts. In Ghana, you can Google that. Politicians are afraid of courts. When you mention court, they're afraid. In Nigeria, politicians will tell you with a wave of hand, go to court. Why? Because they know nothing will come out of it. Once you have a deep pocket, you can shop your judgment anywhere. So that's the problem. That's the problem we have here. Recall what happened in PDP. People were shopping judgments here and there. So people in Abuja will shop their own in Abuja. People in Oyo will shop their own in Oyo. Others will
Prof,
shop elsewhere.
These are very weighty allegations, and it borders on impugning the integrity of the Nigerian judiciary. Do you have any evidence to perhaps back this? Or
I've given you evidences, and they're asking for evidence again. Which other evidence do you want?
So I think another thing to add to that question would be, we see how Nigerians have taken court orders. Unfortunately, they don't seem to take it seriously. So it's one thing for the court to say,
That is it.
to give a judgment. It's another thing for it to
See,
be implemented.
the CJN came out to make a comment earlier, and I was reading about, but I don't want to believe that because I have not confirmed that. That one of the judges that have been given such judgments has been suspended. I don't want to mention his name because I've not fact-checked it. I just saw it this morning.
Is it a popular judge that has been handling the PDP case?
That has been suspended by the CJ, by the, what's it called now?
The Judicial
Council.
But I haven't said
we don't have
That's what I'm saying. I have not confirmed that. I needed to fact-check it, but I didn't have time to fact-check that because social media can carry all manner of stories.
Absolutely.
So I needed to fact-check it before I can say anything.
If ordinary Nigerians have lost faith in what used to be known as the last hope of a common man, what message does this send, and where's the hope for the common man, really?
No, it's the worst nightmare of the common man now. It's the worst nightmare of the common man. So except anything changes tomorrow, and it's a call-up, it's a wake-up call, rather, for the judiciary, for the NJC to sit up and do something and do it fast. And the only way these things happen is when you begin to sanction people. Because even the scripture said, when justice is not speedily executed, the heart of man is said to do evil. So when you don't set examples with people, see, I normally tell people that Nigerians are law-abiding citizens. The challenge they have is leadership. And I proved that with the Buhari Idiabo regime. All they needed was bring out a decree and now use somebody as a scapegoat. Nigerians will sit up. In that regime, you cannot eat something in the bus and throw it out. They caught, if you are caught, you are gone. You go to jail.
War against indiscipline.
War against indiscipline, you know. And that was because they had a leader like Idiabo
And there were
that knew what he
consequences.
wanted and went for what he wanted. I'm choosing my words carefully.
Yeah.
And I'm choosing the names carefully too. So,
Okay, so we just have to wait for things to unfold. Court has given judgment. They've said they will challenge it. It's whether they will respect the judgment of the court, you know, or they've gotten a stay of execution. I guess in the future.
They're going to the appeal court. So my worry is you're trying
Maybe
to
that's
appeal.
where Mr. Arabambi is this morning.
Yeah, because by the way, Mr. Arabambi,
very
who is a
cool
regular
journalist.
and has been a very outspoken member of the Julius Abure-led Labour Party.
after being an outspoken member of Apapa.
Apapa
Where is Lamidi
was
Apapa
supposed to
these
join. Apapa I heard is about to join the ADC.
Okay.
Jokes though.
Where is
That's what I
Lamidi
heard.
Apapa?
He's in Apapa.
I guess it's in Apapa. You've answered the question.
Thank you so much for joining
that's
us.
the
this morning.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Have a lovely day.
We will go on a break now. When we come back from the break, we have another conversation to look at. So please stay with us. Nigeria's fiscal gains from the removal of fuel subsidy have been fully absorbed by rising debt servicing costs, leaving the federal government with limited room to fund infrastructure, to stimulate growth, or to deliver effective social interventions. This is according to CFG Advisory, while presenting the firm's 2026 economic outlook at the Finance Correspondents Association of Nigeria. The advisory noted that the debt servicing in the proposed 2026 budget is estimated at 15.52 trillion naira, exceeding combined allocations to education, health, security, and defense. It cautioned that the economy is exhibiting signs of stagnation driven by high cost, weak growth, persistent deficits, and weak social intervention outcomes.
The firm also warned that election-related pressures and poor coordination across fiscal, monetary, and industrial policies could slow reform momentum, while calling for urgent fiscal restructuring, including asset sales and improved capital spending to restore sustainability and inclusive growth. Join us this morning to break down these issues is economist and principal partner at Woodridge and Scott Consulting, Mr. Segun Sokoto. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Segun Sokoto, and thanks for joining us
It's my pleasure.
on Breakfast Central.
It's my pleasure.
Now, how worrying is this? And our borrowing reached an unsustainable level that will be spending a huge chunk of subsidy savings on servicing debt.
I mean, our borrowings have been at an unsustainable level for many years. For some reason, you know, I mean, we have to cast our minds back to the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo and the celebrations at Nigeria exiting the Paris Club, debt, and all of that. That was 20 years ago, thereabouts. And here we are from less than $1 billion in external debt 20 years ago to over $70 billion today. It's tragic, and you have to wonder how we got here. You know, what's the obsession with borrowing that Nigerian governments have? Why do Nigerian governments find it difficult to think outside the box and fund public, finance from other sources? We have been saying these things for years.
I mean, Ethiopia, sorry to butt in, Ethiopia's Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam was funded locally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to fund projects alone as government. You can go into private partnerships, public-private partnership projects, build, operate, and transfer models. There's so many different approaches that you can use to fund public infrastructure projects, as long as you're willing and ready to commercialize them. So for me, the problem is that the thinking is wrong in terms of the approach to the public finance question in Nigeria. Our public officials are simply not putting in enough intellectual rigor, to planning public finance. And it's just like, look, every single problem that you have, just go and borrow.
Easy way out.
It's always the easy way out. And this cuts across all facets of our public life. It's always the easy way out. So that is where we need to go back to. How do we go about financing public projects without having to borrow? As long as we keep borrowing, or as long as we keep hinging budgets on debt, then, we're going to be in this situation where things are really, it's unsustainable.
And unfortunately, I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, we're counting down to election year. 2027 is official election year, even though really it feels like this is the actual election year because this is where the boots will be on the ground.
Absolutely.
What challenges does that pose for, our fiscal discipline and, for where we are in terms of our finances?
I mean, so as we all know, every election, the truth of the matter is that as a country, we never really get more than 2 years of governance, in every 4-year cycle. Because as a result of our political culture, governments don't settle down for the first 6 months. Appointments of ministers, parastatal heads, and all of that takes about, in some instances, like in the case of President Buhari in his first term, took over a year to have settled in fully, right? And then before you know what's happening, you have to start planning, just like you've said, for the next election, in some instances, a year and a half ahead of the election. So you will notice that the political rhetoric ramped up about middle of last year.
Yeah.
We started seeing campaign posters of the president on Third Mainland, along
the airport.
Alfred Rwani at the airport in Abuja, in Lagos. We started seeing posters as far back as middle of last year. And elections is still next year. So all of that takes attention away from policy formulation, focus on the activities that need attention of the leader of the country. As we speak now, look, we can have all the conversations we want to have about the economy, and debt and all of that. But if you do not fix the security problem, foreign investment will not come. And when we talk about alternative funding for public projects, one of the most important elements in that equation is foreign investment, foreign direct investment, in the billions of dollars. so that you don't necessarily have to go and borrow to fund this project.
Well,
so,
there's a Nigerian pavilion in Davos that's been open, Nigerian House. So
sure. I mean,
they
we always
they
go
wouldn't
for,
come back empty-handed.
we always go for these road shows, and we always come back with promises.
Oh, you call it a road show?
No, they're road shows. I mean, they're talk shops, road shows, and we always come back with promises of billions of dollars in investment. If you calculate the volume of promised investments that we have received since President Tinubu has come, into, and ironically, they even list it as achievements.
Yeah.
We're talking, yes, MOUs and all of that signed. We're talking billions, multiple billions of US dollars, promises, but almost none of that has come in.
I mean, we have the one from the UAE. We have the recent one that was signed, which is also bringing the event to Lagos. Just recently signed in February. We had there was the Schneider one. We still haven't seen anything
there was one
come out of that.
Yeah, Maersk.
There's a new one again from the Lagos Calabar road.
Patience is a virtue. One day we'll see all of them.
In all of this,
Sorry,
this is what we go through, when I need to buy a spray, so when you get into that level, I say this spray. Anyway, in all of this, we have a situation where the federal government, we just saw the fiscal allocation, especially the budget for the year, and we saw some items being repeated again. Just to mention, we're also looking to have a special here next week to look at that of Lagos State, where there's repetition. The assembly members are buying cars again. Cars is coming again, and this time it's not the same price. They're also buying generators. Let's look at the internal issues, which inadvertently, the fiscal discipline, which inadvertently is affecting the economy as well in terms of its spending. Absolutely. Do you think that there could be a lot of savings that would, in other words, help reduce the borrowings?
So one of the things that I've advocated, and I've been consistent on this for over 14 years. The first conversation about subsidy removal in 2012, my position was firmly that we must not take subsidies out, that the economy is not in a position where the population can survive without those subsidies, that those subsidies drive consumption, and consumption drives development and investment, right? The reason that I have always said that, and a few economic watchers have also maintained that position, is this point you make, that our Fiscal Responsibility Act is not being followed. Accountability structures are not in place. So it's difficult, if not impossible, to track government spending to eliminate waste and theft. And that if you are able to do that, you will save enough, to balance the fiscal structure.
Why are we not doing it? Is it a culture?
It is a political culture thing. It is the fact that governments are not accountable to anybody. And that point that you make, I think we must not forget it, that our budgets are a ritual. And that in truth, the budget has very little impact on the life of the ordinary Nigerian. And that in truth, that the monies that are budgeted are rarely used to finance projects. And the evidence of that is this point you make about repetition. Look, just pick, it's so bad that you can pick some items, some line items in our budget this year, pick the budget for 4 years ago. They're there, and they're capital items.
So what's now the implication of this? Yes, you're talking about this capital item. Exactly. 2024 budget, we didn't exhaust that. It was carried over to 2025. And in 2025, the government gave an instruction that MDAs should not infuse new projects, capital projects, into the 2026 budget, and that there should be a carryover of 70% of the capital projects in 2025. Did they listen? No.
No, absolutely not.
They carried over and they put new budgets, new items in the budget. So what is the implication of this in terms of our ability to, execute our budget? And what is the implication of this on the quality of lives of the average Nigerian?
So the implication of this is, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's just stop speaking the English and tell ourselves the truth. Money is being stolen. I mean, this is just the reality, and we all know it. But, when we come to public platforms, and we speak on social media, and all of that. We speak big grammar, especially, and I'm speaking to public commentators like me, who are educated enough about how economics work, that are refusing to admit the truth, that so much money is being stolen, so much revenue is not being accounted for, that every reform plan, is wasted because it will not achieve the impact that is expected to achieve. The president promised us when the subsidy was removed in 2023, mid-2023, that the subsidy savings were going to go into social infrastructure investments and that we'll have education. He mentioned education specifically, mentioned transportation specifically, mentioned healthcare specifically. And this is now almost 3 years later. Can anybody please point me?
To look at the
because that's more than
yes.
enough time. It's almost 3 years. If you are building a school, you will not spend 3 years building the physical structure. If you are building a hospital, if you are buying equipment to fund, in a hospital, it won't take you 3 years. So we should have been seeing those things by now. Where are they? We can't see it, and that's the point that the CFG advisory, has made. And we have said that one of the reasons this has happened. Say whatever you want about, the Jonathan administration, but when the subsidy debate raged and the government won partially, they set up the subsidy SureP. Even though the implementation of the SureP was also mired in controversy, and the late Christopher Collade of blessed memory, resigned because he felt it wasn't properly, it was just a sham. But that would have been the way to go for this administration as well. To set up an agency that will accumulate the savings. We'll see the money, tangibly coming in from the savings, and we will see the projects where the money has been deployed into.
Verifiable projects.
Verifiable projects that somebody is accounting for. Unfortunately, the president and, his government has now adopted this idea that they are pointing us to the governors and saying, oh, the subsidy savings have been, the governors are receiving far more revenues as a result of savings. Go and meet them and ask for the money. No, they were not the ones that removed the subsidy. You were the one, and you promised us what was going to be done with it. You can't be pointing us in another direction now.
Now, from our discussion so far this morning and from the present-day economic realities, I believe we've reached a point where, in case of fire, break glass, a point of hard reset, because it's not sustainable. You're not going to have shared prosperity when you're spending a huge chunk of your revenue on servicing budgets, and it doesn't seem that culture is going to change anytime soon. Absolutely. I mean, this is the second or third year of this administration. They've borrowed at an unprecedented level. What steps can they do, or are they even aware that, look, we're hitting the ceiling, this is dangerous? What can we begin to turn the corner and say, look, and I mean, exhibit some level of fiscal discipline?
It's
not, and the government is also right about the states. If you look at Lagos State's budget, it's very ridiculous, some of the line items, and very questionable. And it applies to many states in the Federation. So where do we begin to change things?
Well, before you can solve a problem, you've got to admit that it exists. Unfortunately, the government may not agree with you and I, about the unsustainability of the debt service obligations as a percentage of our public spending, because
and GDP.
Yes, because they are patting themselves on the back and saying it used to be 111% under President Mohamed Buhari. That it is now, in fact, I saw a number yesterday that it is now 30%. Debt service obligation to revenue ratio, 30%, which is obviously not true. And that's another problem. We don't know what the truth is anymore. But from objective estimations, we're probably somewhere around 70% now of the percentage of revenues we're using to pay debt service obligations. 70%, right? So if the government does not admit that this is a problem, how will they fix it? So it is a problem, and to answer your question, I think the solution will be to start paying down these loans. We need to stop borrowing. We need to stop increasing our debt exposure. We need to start budgeting responsibly. this deficit financing idea has to stop. Why do we think that it is? I mean, look, the budget is a policy statement, not a political tool. But it looks as if to the politicians, it's a political tool. It's to just say, oh, we had a budget of 30 billion when I came. The budget is now 54 billion. How about the financing? How do you fund it? Right? So we need to stop.
The performance and execution.
And the performance and execution of it.
Okay, I want us to, still looking at the suggestions on how we can get out of the CFG advisory made some suggestions. One, they called for urgent fiscal reforms, which you've spoken to, which include aligning Fiscal Responsibility Act with Nigeria's current debt profile and deficit realities to ensure long-term debt sustainability. They recommended restructuring the federal government's balance sheet by optimizing equity within its capital structure through asset sales, privatization, and concessions. In particular, they urged the federal government to sell down to at least 49% of its interest in the 74 licensed concession assets to raise about $50 billion. The proceeds, they said, will be used to improve government revenues, restructure and recapitalize the NNPC and reduce the national debt burden. They also recommended consolidating NNPC's oil forwards contracts into a structured debt instrument to improve transparency, accountability, and debt management.
They've done the work for the government.
But the question is, do you agree with these suggestions?
Absolutely.
But do you think that the government will take this into
No, so it will get to a point, maybe, or maybe not, where the government will realize that this has to be addressed, right? And whenever that point comes, there's a template that's been presented already. Sell assets. The NNPC is, is basically a gold mine. It's just sitting there unexploited, right? Privatize the NNPC, sell shares. Sell shares, do an IPO, and you will raise billions of dollars, just like
even Saudi Aramco is selling percentages of it.
Almost all the nationally owned, petrol companies across the world are now privately held in part, right? So you can raise a lot of money from that. There's signature bonuses, licensing rounds. There's so many ways that you can think creatively to generate dollar revenues to pay down the debt. We have to pay down this debt. It's too much.
How about asking for debt forgiveness?
Nobody is going to forgive your debt now.
They forgive.
That was Obasanjo's time. That was his time.
That was 26 years, 20-something years ago.
And
it's
look
not
where
going
we
to
are
happen
now.
anymore.
No, they need to take some of the professional guys in Lagos. That's your guy. Anything for us to go and beg for debt.
One of the questions I always, big guy. One of the questions I always want to ask is there any negativity with rebasing the economy that was done? And do you think that the NBS and the World Bank seem to have a negative impact on why these borrowings continue? Because on one breath, they get to say, oh, listen, our figures are looking good. Inflation has dropped, the NBS report.
The GDP
and then they say,
projected
listen,
growth.
The World Bank is coming to say, oh, Nigeria, you're looking good. Then all of a sudden, another breath, the World Bank says, if you don't take time, you would impoverish XYZ people. Are these, metrics in any way affecting the way in which governance is being perceived, especially when it comes to borrowing?
Unfortunately, standard governance style all over the world is to use data to drive policy formulation. So you look at the GDP numbers, you look at the inflation numbers, you look at interest rate, poverty prevalence, and all of that, and you craft policy, ideas that would change those numbers positively. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but in Nigeria, it's now the other way around. We make the numbers say what we want them to say, and then, everything can fall in line thereafter.
And we also pick and choose.
Yes, yeah. So for example, nobody trusts the inflation numbers anymore, not even the CBN. The CBN, the Central Bank of Nigeria, really is not formulating policy based on the inflation numbers that the NBS are issuing. They have their own numbers, and they're using that to guide themselves on what to do with the NPR. So that's the unfortunate reality now. So for me, it's for the government to look away from these numbers as campaign tools and begin to look at the ordinary Nigerian and where their lives are now, and begin to drive policies that will improve the lives of the people.
Well, in all of this, they still have some positive projections. They said GDP 5%, NPR 20%, dollar between 1,400 and 500, and single-digit official inflation. These are the projections for 2026.
And let's hope the GDP growth will be all-inclusive, because sometimes it's just...
I mean, like I've said on this platform a lot of times, you need GDP growth rates of more than 10% if we are going to feel it. Until that happens, we're just dealing with numbers.
Sorry, just to correct what I said earlier, NPR below 20%.
Yeah,
absolutely. But thank you very much, Mr. Shokwiton, for joining us.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we'll start an appeal for debt forgiveness on Breakfast Central.
No, not Nigeria.
To World Bank and everybody.
No, they won't.
Even if you bring Brian Adams and sang, please forgive me. I don't know if that's going to work.
Don't worry.
Well, fingers crossed. We can hope for the best. Let's go to break now. We'll bring you breakfast headlines, and after that will be the review of the newspapers. So please stay with us.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aboroa. The village head of Kurminwali, where more than 160 Christian worshippers were abducted during a church attack on Sunday, says the kidnappers have reached out through a negotiator to state conditions for their release. Ishaku Dan Azumi said the group is demanding the return of 17 motorcycles allegedly seized during recent military operations. The kidnappers insist the community must pay a 29 million deposit and said to cover the cost of the motorcycles before negotiations can proceed. Meanwhile, the Christian Association of Nigeria has criticized security agencies over the handling of the abduction of worshippers in Kurminwali, Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. CAN said early police communication dismissing reports of the incident lacked sensitivity and undermined public trust before proper verification was carried out. The Nigerian police force later admitted the kidnapping after initially denying it, saying the move was meant to prevent panic while investigations continued. CAN acknowledged the challenges of verifying incidents in remote areas, but stressed that such challenges do not justify dismissive public statements. The association has called for the immediate rescue and safe return of all abducted worshippers and urged security agencies to intensify efforts to secure their release. The Christian Association of Nigeria's chairman, Northern Region, Reverend John Hayab, said names of the 177 abducted worshippers has been released to the government. Still on the Kaduna attacks, Governor Obasani of Kaduna State has visited the scene of the January 18th church attacks and abductions, where he expressed empathy for the victims and community members. The governor, who condemned the attack, assured the residents of Kurminwali that he will do all he can, together with support from the federal government, to rescue the community members from the hands of the terrorists. Away from Kaduna, Nigeria has inaugurated the National Working Committee of World Skills Nigeria, a move aimed at strengthening technical and vocational education and training across the country. The initiative is expected to position Nigerian youths with industry-relevant skills needed to compete in the global labor market and support national development. The committee will drive skills development, promote innovation, and align training with labor market demands as Nigeria deepens its focus on skills-based education.
It's the bold national commitment to skills, excellence, it signals our readiness to benchmark a skills development system against the highest global standards, equip our young people with world-class competencies, and position Nigeria as a leader in skills innovation on the continent of Africa and beyond. Through this platform, our youth will be inspired to develop a passion for skills and motivated to choose high-quality TVET as their first choice of educational option. Our industries will benefit from a stronger, more agile workforce, and our nation will benefit from enhanced productivity, innovation, and economic growth.
Outside Nigeria, drone attacks are intensifying in central Sudan, shaking the army-controlled city of Al Obeid as the country's civil war moves closer. Residents say strikes in and around the city have killed civilians in at least 2 incidents. After tightening control over Darfur late last year, the rapid support forces, shifted focus to Kordofan, launching weekly drone attacks. RSF ground forces have also taken towns across the region and laid siege to the cities in South Kordofan. While Al Obeid has not yet been directly attacked on the ground, army units and allied forces are now positioned on the city's outskirts as residents brace for escalation. United States President Donald Trump says he has reached a framework agreement on Greenland following high-level talks in Davos and a meeting with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte. The announcement came as Trump dropped his threat to impose new tariffs on European countries, easing transatlantic tensions. Markets in the United States rallied after the tariff plan was shelved. Trump reiterated that he would not use force to acquire Greenland, despite earlier tough rhetoric. European leaders have strongly pushed back against the tariff threats, welcoming the shift in tone.
We are working hard to finalize the agreement. We have this joint agreement. But I'm optimistic that we can go forward. And the investment pledge, the private sector promise, I think are on the way. And we already see this imbalance you mentioned during your speech is actually on correction. It's actually, we have the last statistic, a surplus 8.8 US dollars in the favor of US. But at the end, it's important for me and for the two countries, it's a win-win perspective.
Very good. Is there really a surplus? Because that's a very unusual thing with Switzerland.
I think in the last couple of months it started to reverse the other
Wow,
way.
that's unusual.
And when they bring
that's never happened before.
That's all. And Breakfast Headlines, I'm Benga Bora. Breakfast Central continues shortly. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Time for the newspaper front pages. We have the CCO of Sustainable Stories, Wada Hime, joining us this morning. Bonjour, bienvenue, welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us. We
what's going on?
We were expecting you to be in Davos, Switzerland, because that's where...
If Wade should ask me, what did I just say? I will remind him that his tax is being managed by France.
It's a lie.
They signed an MOU. Does not mean it's been implemented.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Whether I like it or not.
They started again this morning.
They do know who you are.
Eh?
Okay, let's get into the newspapers.
Who are you?
How do you form?
How do you form?
Let's get into the papers this morning. I start with the Punch newspaper, the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Okay, I think we need that insecticide now.
But I promise you, it's usually Friday that they misbehave like this, not always every other day.
Maybe it's the coffee. Who gave them coffee this morning? It must have been black and no sugar. What did Benny mix in this coffee today? It must have been black and no sugar. So it's very obvious because the caffeine and the...
Black coffee, no sugar, no cream.
Counter-terrorism campaign. Federal government moves to fast-track trial of 5,000 insurgents. Military, police, NSCDC budget 204 billion naira for operations in 2026. Security agencies to harvest DNA of notorious terror kingpins. Court issues bench warrant against Bello Turji-linked suspects. Death toll hits 29 in Pakistan mall fires. A really sad one. Dozens missing. ICPC to arraign Ozekomem on Monday over UK property. DNA test cleared Davido in paternity dispute according to his father. AU Afrima hails Sanwo-Olu sponsors after awards. Kidnappers hold 166 Kaduna worshippers, demand 29 million naira deposit. Oti's Labour Party blocks 6 reconciliation as court sacks Abure. Awujale's stool battle, Ogun halts process, police storm palace. Royal Rumble, inside power struggle rocking Oyo Oba's council.
Some of them don't even speak to each other anymore.
It's really wild. Okay, let's start with the kidnapper story, because that has been one of the biggest stories. Kidnappers hold 166 Kaduna worshippers.
They said they took their motorcycles.
So they are angry.
Wow, what a country.
And there was a denial at first too.
On Tuesday when this news broke, everybody said, no, not everybody. The police said, it's not true.
Yeah.
Nobody was kidnapped. The local government chairman was like, no, it's not true. 24, and you know, when we spoke about it, I spoke about it somewhere else on Tuesday, and the first thing I said is that, in my own opinion and in my own personal belief, that the police were lying, and it has come out to be that they were lying. And then the excuse for the kidnapping, they seized 27 of their motorcycles. And so the question I beg to ask is, who is really in charge of that local government? At least this local government, because they're asking not only to return the motorcycles, they're asking for 29. They're asking
to begin
to even start talking. They should bring 29 million. It means, something tells me that it means that this has been going on, that community continues to pay, whether it's taxes you call them or it's levies that they pay, and it's just ludicrous when you think about it. And every day we talk about the insecurity in Nigeria, and we have government officials or government officials all over the world, some of them in Davos now, telling us about how safe it is to invest in Nigeria. It's a good place to invest. Nigeria is a wonderful place to invest, don't get me wrong. But you can't get people coming into a country where, even if I put my investment down and I build those factories and they are being kidnapped every day, then there is a huge problem. So first and foremost, the police needs to apologize to Nigerians. They need to, because I heard what the PRO said, and said, oh, we didn't lie. You know, you lied to Nigerians.
I mean, come on.
You said that it wasn't true, that you needed names, and it beats me. And I remember when I said this thing, I said, the first thing about brand management, and anybody who cares to listen, is you don't deny everything. You don't have to take responsibility, but you accept that the message has come to you. You understand what the message is, and we will come back within a certain time. But what you did was you lied to Nigerians, you lied to the families of those who were kidnapped, to the whole nation, and said, no, it wasn't true. Now, with your tails between your legs, you come back and say, oh, these were the reasons. And it's ludicrous, in my opinion.
Now, still talking about this security issue, you're a finance man, you're a money man, and they often say, follow the money, the trail. But we've seen the kidnapping has almost become an industry. It's an industry.
Oh, no, it is an industry.
So why haven't we been able to deploy, we have a Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, deploy forensic ways of stopping this business?
Well,
why are we not following the money trail?
And I don't think we're not following the money trail. I just think that those in leadership don't have the political will to deal with this.
What needs to be done?
It's as simple. You see, it's simple. When you follow the trail, you nip it right from the board. And that's the reality of it. You know? So when people say banks report almost on a daily basis, intelligence is always scouting through large funds movements, and we've heard not once, not twice. And recently we've also heard intelligence about money moved in terms of sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. Lists have been provided. Of course, you don't expect foreign intelligence to give the media that list, because that's security, it's a security issue. But when we refuse to do anything about it, or we pay lip service, let me put it that way, we refuse to do anything and pay lip service to it, and this is what we get. We've been in this, Nigeria has been at war for the last 15 years, going on 16, and everybody plays politics with it. You know, it started with Chibok. I think the only president in Nigeria who really didn't play politics with terrorism was the late President Yar'Adua. And we saw the plan that he put in place, and that plan has worked. Whether the plan has been reneged upon now is a different, but we saw that plan work. So what does it take? In my own opinion, it doesn't take anything but political will.
Maybe to the government, it takes 5 fast-tracking the trial of 5,000 insurgents?
Well,
Because that's the headline of the Punch newspaper. And let's zoom in on it.
No. So before you because I've read that 320 were prosecuted in 1 year. When you fast track, how many are you going to prosecute? Because if you prosecute 220 in 1 year, 320 prosecuted, about 1,200 for lack of evidence. So if you prosecute 320, so let's fast track it. You triple it. So you say 1,000 in a year. So these 5,000 that are already currently in.
Maybe they'll do a better job in prosecuting.
With the judicial system in Nigeria, have you gone to court?
Let's talk to our legal expert. They say the wheels of justice grind slowly.
In
How
Nigeria,
can you fast track with these
it's
wheels
even
of
slower
justice?
in Nigeria. I'm not sure they even have wheels.
Is there
And that's
wheels
my
or
opinion.
there's rope?
Most likely rope. Because if you go no, that's not. Let's try and let's see the lighter side and be honest about it. Have you been to a court when a judge is about to sit and then they file those different files? Even if I'm a judge, I'll be scared to sit.
Still analog.
And that's
A lot of their processes.
Whereas abroad, just underneath the table, you have the systems.
I notice Olive is not saying
call it up.
anything because she has plans to go back to the court. And the
I
judge
beg
will
you.
remember you. That day, what did you say about the judiciary?
My lord,
Anyway, the
I don't
writer
follow
of this
them.
very important story on
Olive,
federal government moves to
and
fast-track trial of 5,000 insurgents.
Yeah.
Military police NSCDC budgets 204 billion naira for operations in 2026. Security agencies to harvest DNA of notorious terror kingpins. Please, what does it mean? And on the security level, what will it do? What do you need their DNA for? So in case, because I'm trying to...
First, what I think, I don't know what they mean by harvesting, except maybe they have those DNA information inside a digital database. So when you are harvesting it, then it's easier for you to say, okay,
oh, I
this
see.
is it.
I mean, if you look at the United States, for example, when they're looking for Saddam Hussein, they have his DNA issues. For Saddam, Osama bin Laden, and then they run it through their system to confirm their identities.
And how do you get a number of all these things? Is either someone has committed a crime or alleged to commit a crime or is on a watch list, and then you start to find out how they move, where they've gone, which hospitals they've gone to, because they all have, these things are available, samples will come to you, and that's it. But first and foremost, you will have to have an idea of the identity of this person, whether this person has a criminal record. And I've heard also that, we want to create a criminal database. This is 2026, 21st century, high-tech technology, and we're still trying to create a criminal database.
So
People
according to them, because I just had to go online to look at it, they said the intention is that they'll create a database, a national database on terrorism accessible to every agency engaged in the fight against terrorism. Now, according to them, this database will contain full identifying particulars on known and suspected members of terrorist groups, including, where possible, biometric data and a DNA profile, information on terrorist modus operandi, and intelligence on reported terrorist activity.
When they are coming for their biometric, they should just apprehend them there.
Okay,
because we are looking for biometrics
okay,
now.
So
how would that stop?
And I read that earlier, and it just beats me. You need a central database first and foremost for every Nigerian. And on that database, people who commit offenses would have against their names, not for public,
but for
the security thing.
I thought
like
the
it's
DSS has
obtainable
that.
In the West.
In the West.
It's obtainable in many places across the world.
But some of them are open to the public as well.
No,
if you request for them, sex offenders,
Yes. Now, those who have gone to prison because of employment becomes very important. And that's why sometimes you find people who have committed a crime and have served their time find it very difficult to get jobs.
Get jobs, yeah.
And that's the reason, because They committed a
as they
crime.
call ex-convicts.
Yeah, and you don't want a situation, like I always tell people change. If you start the time and you've changed, then you've changed, and you try and run away from those things. But you need a central database first and foremost. And in
that's
Nigeria, the central data
struggle with. It feels like there's a multiplicity and a duplicity
there
of
is so
data.
much data in so much
BVN.
silos in terms of data collection. Banks have BVN, we have NIN,
Telcos.
telcos have the, it's just ridiculous when what you require is a central database that feeds into every other part of the economy, and people take out the data that they require.
Okay. Still looking at the fight against insecurity, the move to fast track 5,000 insurgents. Just to mention that we're opening the phone lines, and we will be giving you the opportunity to call in if you'd like to speak to any of the topics that we've looked at this morning. You have a contribution, a comment, a suggestion, please call the number on your TV screen or go on YouTube to drop a comment. I wanted to say something. If you go into the details on the Punch newspaper, you go to read, they claim that Bello Turji is under pressure, that he remains, he's now under sustained pressure from coordinated ground operations. In fact, let me quote, they say Turji in panic. But we'll come into the details of that. We have a call coming in.
They know.
That's what I want us to talk about. We have a call coming in. Hello, good morning. Hello, David. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
Yes, please go ahead.
I want to revise an issue there. Back 1987, when I was posted to Bauchi,
Okay.
then it was a military era. We were in Bauchi, there were some elements, some group of this type of bandits that were carrying knives, hooks. Those type of hooks they normally put on people's necks to finish them. These people were arrested in Bauchi and they were all executed. All those nonsense stuff, all these things we are seeing now is because of politicians. If they start eliminating these people, all these things will stop. Immediately they are arrested, they should execute them publicly. There should be nothing like carrying them to prison to go and be feeding on our sweat. These are not human beings we should reckon with. Immediately they get these people, execute them publicly. Let everybody see it clean.
All right, David.
Sponsoring them, there should be no millionaire in this country.
Thank you very much, David, for sharing your thoughts. David
He's
believes
retired.
There are human rights issues around that.
Exactly.
And most
So we
countries,
need to be very
they
careful.
put a moratorium on death penalty. But, I mean, some would argue for it, that if you're caught in the act, because you're living by the sword, it's okay to die.
But the risk
But
in that,
there must be.
there is a huge risk in that.
Okay, miscarriage of justice.
The risk, the risk in that is, it is better that 1,000 guilty people go scot-free than for one innocent person to be falsely
But
apprehended.
he's talking about people that have been caught
He's talking about the
red-handed.
bandits,
So
the terrorists.
let me paint a
Bandits
picture
and
for you.
terrorists.
You catch somebody strapped with a vest. They're strapped with a bomb and they're running into a church or into a mosque to go and cause, detonate the bomb. But they're not doing it of their own accord. They're not terrorists per se. They were forced to do it. They've been manipulated.
Under accord?
Have you ever been seized for you to be used as a weapon?
They force you into it. They hold a member of the person's family. There are more serious issues involved.
And that's why there's a judicial system. And that's why we live under this.
And that is why our current
system.
laws, as they stand, Section 36, subsection 5 of the 1999
Presumed.
Constitution as amended, provides for the presumption of innocence, such that
Until
even a
proven
person
guilty.
who has been caught in the act of murder has a right to representation, has a right to be heard,
And I totally agree
then
with
judgment
that.
will be given. So I'm not
totally
quite sure about the summary.
Let's take
execution.
another call. We have Lenny calling from Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning, Benga. Good morning, Liv. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Lenny.
Let's go ahead.
You know, we always, in Nigeria, we don't have human rights. We don't even have rights. We always talk about human rights, right? In Japan, if you are corrupt, you kill yourself by yourself. In China, if you are corrupt, the government will jail you, right? In Europe, they will jail you too. But in Africa, if you are corrupt, they will start speaking English. This person have this thing. What happened to the person? What law? Are we better than Japan? That if somebody is corrupt, the person will kill himself because he knows what the government will do to him. So he will take his life by himself. The problem about this country and Africa is that the willpower. Just like there's something that the professor that left a while ago said. He said, kick against indiscipline. It happened in Calabar when Nenadi was the governor in Cross River State. He couldn't drop things on the floor. That is the willpower. When you step up, all Nigerians will arrange. Nigerians obey law, but who will put
when there are consequences?
Who will be strong? Who will be strong-headed that will make this law? If you deal with these bandits publicly, forget about this, I have human rights. The people that they kill in the bush, don't they have human rights? So it's something, let's forget about the sentiment, the emotional thing. Deal with these people decisively, logically. Deal with these people. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Again, I still go back to I'm
in support of you.
Yeah, abolitionists around the world are kicking against the death penalty, against capital punishment.
I'm not against capital punishment. I'm just
summary execution
that
without them having their day in court.
And it happens
they
a lot.
Should have their day in court. They should fast track it so they don't feed off taxpayers' money and the prison is not a hotel.
And to fast track it is to ensure that the judicial system works efficiently.
So what will it take to get... Anyway, let's just move to our next story. We have so much.
Still on the point.
No, I was going to people are trying to distract me from Bello Turji that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Yes, they said, and I'm going to quote, Major General Wara Idris has said that notorious bandit leader Bello Turji is currently in panic and confusion as intensified military operations closing on him and other armed groups leaders in the northwest.
Close in on him.
Due to intelligence.
Exactly. According to their intelligence, they say he's moving every 2 hours. So why have they not caught him yet?
They're waiting for the right time. Do you know how long the U.S.
took it out to get to Osama bin Laden?
Delta Force trailed
and they're coming to share this.
Why are they putting it online?
About Pakistan.
And they're sharing this publicly then. Let's have your reaction to this.
Anyway.
How do I react to that? And that's the truth about it. You see, with intelligence, there are things we don't throw out in public.
You have to be intelligent.
And these are the kind of things you don't throw out in public. Do you understand?
Maybe so.
We're talking about Osama now, and it took America almost 2 years.
Plus. So they closed him on him.
No, to close him on him in Pakistan. They chased him around the world for close to
but they didn't come to the front pages of the New York
Times. To be having
conversations. To say that Osama is jittery.
Until Osama was executed. Are you with me? We didn't know.
Yes, but now we know that Bello Turji is panicking. He cannot even watch AFCON.
We have a call. We have a call. Let's take Oladuku, if I'm right, who's joining us. Duni Oladuku. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. We'd like if you could speak up as well. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hope I can be heard clearly.
Yes,
we can hear you just a bit.
We'll just need our producers, not you.
Up.
Maybe our producers can help us pop up the volume a bit.
The volume of the TV. So you guys are having a wonderful conversation this morning.
Thank you.
And I think at this point I want to contribute to one or 2 points that was earlier raised by one of your visitors. So the first contribution I want to make is about following the money. All right. Yes, we have NFIU, and they have the capacity and all the resources to be able to trace how this money is being moved, within the circle of this bandit and the terrorists. But unfortunately, when we have some cases and alleged cases where we hear that even government agencies, are involved even in the settlements or paying up of ransom, it complicates the issue. All right? So, but if that is eliminated, it becomes easier to be able to track. Though they don't come out to tell us clearly, that this is what they do, but we are hearing a lot of information around that. So that complicates the process entirely. And Secondly, another concern that I have is about trying to implement what Yar'Adua did during his era. So for me, I think strongly we need to look at the bandit and terrorism to be completely different from the case that was happening, during Yar'Adua's era. These people are mean, all right? They are completely mean, and their attack is not targeted to a particular area. Unlike during the Yar'Adua's era, those guys were attacking government facilities. But these people, they are killing everybody, regardless of your religion, regardless of your tribe, regardless of whatever you are. So we should not try to look at that. For me, I support corporal punishment for whoever is caught.
Capital
You
punishment.
are caught, you are convinced, you follow due process of law, and at the end of the day, what do you need to be doing? All this one we are talking about some of those bandits being rejected into the army. And we can see how they are complicating the process. They are the informants. They are the informants. So I think that's my point. We need to do it that government should not be involved whatsoever in the payment of ransom. And also, we should treat bandits and terrorists completely different from the case that we had during.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We missed out on this very important one. I don't know why we
you.
didn't even mention it. Court issues bench warrant against Turji, Bello-linked suspect.
But this is the response to that
subpoenaed
now.
them.
Okay, the suspects, not Bello Turji.
Yeah, and Mr. Bello Turji should also present himself to the nearest police station as wanted. Anyway, let's move on to other
Let's move on to another paper quickly. I want us to go to...
I don't know if you would want to comment on this, or we should just leave it to the gods to settle their matters. Royal Rumble, inside power struggle, rocking Oyo Oba's council.
I know his response.
And on the top,
I know his response.
Let the gods handle this one.
At the top of that, Awujale's two
Let
battle,
the gods.
Ogun holds process, police storm
The
palace.
gods are very angry in different ways.
Why is it that the states, why is the state involved in who becomes Oba? Is it not a traditional thing? The state is just to present the instrument of office, the staff of office. So why is it becoming so
needs
political?
to sign off to have the instrument of office.
Who makes the Oba?
The kingmakers.
Okay. Where did they get the vision from?
Well, I really don't.
Anyway, let's leave it to the gods.
I really don't know. The gods will handle it. The oracles will, the divinity will show them who the right.
Anyway, let's go to another paper, Nigerian Tribune. Let's go to the Nigerian Tribune. Paternity dispute, how I got to know about my son's alleged daughter, Davido's father. He had a video yesterday, went live. He talked about, he showed proof that the girl or the child in question doesn't belong to his son, Davido, even though he has been taking care of her and the family. Wow. Abduction of 177 worshippers. Kaduna governor pledges rescue of victims. Atiku Obi knock government. Can affected community upbraid police. Local government boss untold story of Kurumin Wali kidnap. I don't know. Have you reacted to this Kaduna story you did earlier on? Talking about it in the weekend. There's one I want us to look into. Well, let's take this call.
I like that.
Our phone lines.
Upbraid.
Yes, upbraid.
Oliver, I want to upbraid you.
No, it's upbraid, not
scold you.
All right, now you know. We have a caller. Hello, Uche.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Uche.
Yeah. My question this morning goes this way. The commissioner of police in Kaduna that says or threatens people that gives, false information. Now we have given Nigerians false information that nothing happened. What will happen to that commissioner of police? That's my question this morning. Even the chairman of that local government that says nothing happened. Please, you people should help us. What will happen to him? Because the federal government is against false information. They have been warning Nigerians. Whoever that gives false information will go for it. Why is he retaining his position? That is my question this morning. God bless you.
Thank you, Uche.
Over
Floor is
to
yours.
you. Say you people should. What recommendation, what punitive recommendations
Should be
should be meted out to the Commissioner of Police of
know,
Kaduna State?
In reality, they will tell you to do the noble thing, but we've seen from the reports on the Oyo Obaship and the Awujale, there's really no nobility in Nigeria. So I think, first and foremost,
even an apology.
Yes, first and foremost, he should apologize to
Nigerian police.
Who? The commissioner.
The commissioner personally,
Kaduna
because
State.
he was the one that made the references. He should apologize not only to the people of that local government and Kaduna State, to Nigerians as a whole, for lying to us blatantly. And if he was in saner climes, he should actually resign from the Nigerian police, because I don't think...
It's an insult to the Nigerians.
It's an insult.
He can't uphold his...
It's an insult to not just the Nigerian police, to Nigeria as a whole, because it was blatant.
And lives are involved. And you know how important the first 48 hours is in any crime.
If he chooses not to resign, then he should be fired from the police.
Now
he should go through that process of
I won't throw away the...
And no. Because you see...
I won't throw away the baby and the bathwater. I'll just assign him to traffic duties in the
No, that's the commissioner. He can't come down.
What he did is a gross violation of
the act.
Aside the act, of Nigerians. If that 100, even one Nigerian is a gross violation
and you know, just flippantly dismiss it without carrying out any investigation.
And I think the scary
they said
part
his
in all
men
of
were
this,
there.
For a senior police officer.
Is how we've become desensitized, or we're becoming, I want to say we're becoming, but actually we've become desensitized to the plight of Nigerians. And we see it manifested in a number of ways, especially in a time where our country is dealing with extreme insecurity issues. So it's better to always err on the side of caution. That's what people typically think. So if you know that this is something that we're prone to experiencing, when you hear it, your first reaction should not be denial, as opposed to doing a thorough investigation to ensure. Now, even not just him, even with the presidency, you see people who would typically come out and speak on a number of issues. Everybody has
They'll rather
silent.
just keep quiet.
We were checking by on Onuga's page today, and all he's posted about are the roads and the update on the roads.
Yes, because you see, when this is strictly my opinion, when your focus is to divert attention from the real issues, so you look for things that you think people will be interested in, and
AFCON is over now.
Like I said, I remember that day, and I still saw that post that you guys, thank you very much, about the Morocco discussion. And some people were saying, Benga said, oh, no. But everybody that I know that has checked that, and those have made comments, they just agree with me that Morocco was better that day. Clear. However, and it's the same thing in Nigeria. When you see, I'm always careful about what I say in public spaces, but if people have lived under the illusion that propaganda takes you to the end, then at the end of the day, where they are probably not the ones to suffer the destruction, it's those who are coming behind. And I've seen it in Lagos. As a Lagosian, all my life, I've seen it. Education is next to nothing. Those who got free education, those who went to university with next to nothing.
The irony.
And we see it. When I say this, people always say, oh, no. 60-70% of the people in the corridors of power today, public, private, you name it, got free education. About 50-60% of them got that free education in Lagos.
Yeah.
Are you with me?
And what are they giving back?
They migrated to Lagos because of that education. Now, what are you giving back?
You're spot on, absolutely.
And so it beats me every time. I was fortunate to be amongst them. And maybe that's why I continue to talk about those things. But what are you giving back? Everything is about a sell. It's marketing and sales.
Yeah, luxury.
Marketing and sales.
Luxury houses, luxury cars.
Let's even leave the cars and all. You're not building new communities. You're not creating new values. You're not creating new wealth. If Lagos State, between 1975, when Lagos State became a state, and 1983, did not build communities, you people who were beneficiaries of it would not be where you are today. You won't have the kind of education that you have.
Absolutely. How many new public schools have been established in the last 8 years?
I tell people.
How many new parks?
No, let's do that. Go check the history of Lagos State. Are you with me? Aside from the old schools, the Fimbas, the Bobis and all, the newest schools in Lagos State, maybe apart from a few that were set up as the model schools and all, 1980.
Meanwhile, the population is expanding.
1980.
Every day.
One person will tell me that means they are doing 45 years last year.
Okay, I want us to take comments on YouTube before we wrap things up. We're almost at the end of the show. Lenin Equerry says, in a sane world, both the chairman of the local government area and the commissioner will resign immediately because they failed in their duty. But here, it's we die here because there's no consequences to wrongdoing.
Consequences.
So.
Olumide Alade says, politicking and unnecessary judicial battles have been major factors undermining governance in Nigeria. From its first day in office, the APC appeared to focus on re-election than prioritizing, I believe he would say, citizens. These are the comments we can take on YouTube. Earlier, Eno Chiojane says Nigerians need to have value of integrity, and I believe that was in response to IShowSpeed visiting Nigeria and many people trying to use begging.
Asking them to show them love.
To show them love. And Joe Mokin is asking you a very pertinent question. Say, who exists you? Where did you get that from, Joe?
Where do you form?
How do you form?
Who you?
I really want to know.
Who bore you?
The School of Journalism.
Do you know who I
guys
am?
went to.
Joe.
No, both of them.
Me?
Yeah. That's why they're always sitting on the same side.
What did you say? What did you just say now?
Obviously, Benga doesn't like that your profession is not only luminary. Eh?
There's a bit of jealousy.
I think you can go back to school. You're wearing white and black. It's not hard. You can go back to school to study.
Oliver, I would ask you to adjust your hair so that you can err on the side of caution.
She's in the distinguished neighborhood profession.
I'm also.
On
That's your joke. Is how we wrap up today's show.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much.
On that note, we have to bring the show to a close. But there's one big story here in the front of the Nigerian Tribune. No arms, ammunition found in my residence, according to Malami. So Malami is crying foul that the government is just trying to keep him. Said denies terror financing allegation. There's a lot. Sleeping less than 7 hours daily quietly shortens life, according to study.
Which is why we have to head out of the studio
That's
so
why
that
we
we
have
can
to
sleep and come back tomorrow
it's
to
night
be
sleep
active.
or afternoon sleep doesn't count.
No, stop that.
Join.
It's sleep. Sleep
Please.
is the hours.
Minimum
We're going to
of
sleep.
between 6 to 8 hours.
But you shouldn't sleep because your
Don't
series
sleep.
is coming
Jasiri is
up
up next.
See
Okay.
you tomorrow.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and at night, watch on.